Think about this number, $1.8 million. If a regular working-class person maintains a very modest, steady income of just $40,000 a year over a standard 45-year working career, that is the exact fortune that passes directly through their hands, nearly $2 million. Yet, according to recent economic data, over half of the population entering their late 50s and 60s has less than $10,000 saved for retirement. A lifetime of labor, millions earned, and nothing left to show for it. Why does this happen? It isn't because people don't make enough money. It's because by the time we hit the critical age of 40, we fall into a series of silent, normalized psychological traps. We tell ourselves we still have time. We assume compounding will just magically fix everything later. Today on Seniors Mic, we are stripping away the corporate financial jargon. We are passing the microphone to two completely different generations of creators who have already crossed that midlife finish line to look back at age 40 with absolute, unfiltered honesty. If you're new, subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos.
They don't think in terms of using their money to provide them with financial independence or personal freedom one day in their future. Buying a new toy is fun, and it certainly sounds a lot more fun than paying off your mortgage, which is invisible and nobody can see that. But if you have to keep working at a job you don't like or longer than you like just to make the payments, is that toy really worth it? Now here's the main lesson. If personal freedom is not at the very top of the list of things that you have to have in your life, then you're never going to have personal freedom. You have to use your money to attain that goal of personal freedom. Freedom has to be more important to you than buying anything that siphons your money away from your financial independence.
Pay close attention to what Ronnie is breaking down here. He calls debt a pernicious destroyer of wealth. By the time you reach 40, your income is typically at its absolute peak. You have experience, you have stability, and you finally have a margin of extra capital. But this is exactly where the modern consumer trap snaps shut. Because society tells us that making payments is a normal way of life, we use our peak earning years to buy status instead of freedom. We lease the upgrade, we finance the lifestyle, and we hand our greatest wealth-building tool, our active monthly income, right back to the bank. When you are 40, buying a toy gives you a temporary dopamine hit. But as Ronnie points out from the vantage point of age 68, that toy is invisible to the future version of you who is forced to stay on the hamster wheel just to sustain it. The first major investment you must make at 40 isn't a stock market play. It is the choice to value your absolute personal freedom over visible status.
But defending your current cash flow and eliminating consumer debt is only half the battle. The second major flaw of the traditional midlife strategy is a heavy reliance on a single, fragile infrastructure, your primary job. For decades, the standard blueprint was simple. Get a position at a stable company, be a loyal employee for 30 or 40 years, and trust that the system would reward you with a guaranteed pension. But as Ronnie noted, those days are completely gone. Relying on a single source of corporate income at age 40 is one of the most vulnerable financial positions you can occupy. If that single stream dries up due to a corporate layoff, an industry shift, or a sudden health crisis, a lifetime of stability can vanish in months. This is where our second perspective comes in. Lori Ballin reached age 55 and realized she had no traditional corporate retirement fund. But instead of falling into panic, she discovered an entirely non-traditional path to financial independence.
Make a full-time income as an over 50 creator, making multiple six figures per year. In this video, we're going to specifically talk about how much YouTube just paid me for a video that I created about being over 50 that has now gotten over 100,000 views. What's fascinating to me is that I have made this same video 100 times, talking about how much money I make, how much opportunity there is to be a digital creator. But this one, I specifically put the word retirement on the thumbnail to kind of run a test. And I titled the thumbnail, I'm 55 and have no retirement. Here's how I'm making money instead, which is 100% true. There's nothing clickbaity or switchy on that. However, I've talked about the same thing over and over again, but because I angled it this time to a specific age group, it took off. Now, what I keep telling everybody is that you have lived long enough to get paid to exist. If you look down here, we have 93.4% of those views are coming from YouTube recommendations. Sometimes people will see me and they recognize my name because I've been a teacher, coach, trainer in the industry for many, many years. I've been a course builder, coach. So sometimes people see my name, they're like, oh, she was only able to do that because she brought over an existing audience or something like that. Not at all. And this is the proof. It's YouTube recommendations. So how this works is, you don't have to have any followers or subscribers to get views on your video. You can have your first video literally take off.
What Lori is exposing here is a gold mine for anyone navigating midlife. At 40 or 50, your greatest asset isn't just your current salary. It is your accumulated life experience. You have lived long enough to get paid to exist. Notice the data she provides. Her video didn't explode because she had a pre-existing audience. It exploded because the platform's recommendation algorithm actively seeks out mature audiences. And there's a massive economic reason for this that Lori points out.
One of the reasons why this opportunity is so big is because the advertisers want to deal with mature creators because they know that our generation, especially the Gen X generation, has more disposable income right now. Statistically, we are the age group that has the highest disposable income.
This is the ultimate intersection of time and capital. Advertisers are willing to pay massive premiums, evident by Lori's incredible $13 plus RPM, to reach the Gen X and Boomer demographic, because they hold the highest concentration of disposable wealth. When you are 40, your deep understanding of your career, your industry, or even your personal struggles isn't just a resume builder. In the digital landscape, it is a premium media asset. While Ronnie's traditional approach teaches us the discipline of building a safety net by working physical side businesses like landscaping, Lori shows us the modern evolution, leveraging the algorithm to turn your lived experience into an uncopyable digital asset. Both strategies lead to the exact same destination, breaking free from the vulnerability of a single corporate paycheck. When you look at Ronnie Christian and Lori Ballin side by side, you are looking at two completely different eras, two different industries, and two entirely different personalities. Ronnie is the embodiment of the quiet, disciplined, blue-collar grind, building safety nets through physical landscape labor and aggressively wiping out debt. Lori is the modern media entrepreneur, stepping in front of a camera at age 55, treating the YouTube algorithm as an experiment and building multiple six-figure digital assets out of her raw reality. But if you strip away the tools they used and look at the underlying mathematics of their lives, their core philosophies are identical. They are shouting the exact same warning down the timeline to anyone currently sitting in their 30s or 40s. When we synthesize their decades of lived experience, the ultimate blueprint for the second half of your life boils down to three non-negotiable investments. First, you must invest in your immediate capital freedom. At 40, you have to stop treating personal debt as a normal line item in your monthly budget. Financing an elite lifestyle with money you haven't truly secured is a mathematical trap. As Ronnie bluntly reminded us, every single payment you send to a bank or a dealership is active capital being stripped away from your future independence. Eradicate the friction. Free up your cash flow. Stop sacrificing your long-term peace of mind for the short-term dopamine hits of material objects that hold your time hostage. Second, you must invest in independent architecture, not corporate loyalty. The old narrative of relying on a single corporate entity to fund your retirement is entirely dead. Leaving yourself vulnerable to a single paycheck at mid-career is a structural hazard. Whether you follow Ronnie's traditional blueprint of building a local service on the side or Lori's modern approach of leveraging platform distribution to monetize your intellectual assets, you must build an infrastructure that belongs to you. You must create something that continues to protect your family when you can no longer trade your physical hours for labor. And third, you must invest in consistency over the illusions of a shortcut. In a world obsessed with overnight success, viral trends, and speculative lottery tickets, real financial independence remains incredibly boring. It is built on what Ronnie calls the drip method, the quiet, unsexy, day-in, day-out habit of keeping your expenses below your means, stacking assets, and simply staying the course. The ultimate reality echoing from the senior's mic is this: a magical fairy isn't coming to rescue your future. The government is not coming to save your retirement. The corporation is not going to look out for your legacy. It is entirely up to you.
Your money can never buy back the years you have already spent. But if you handle it with ruthless intention right now, it can buy the absolute, unfiltered freedom of all your tomorrows. Thank you for tuning in to this debut essay on Senior's Mic. If this perspective challenged the way you view your career, your time, and your wealth, tap the subscribe button, drop a comment with your own life reflections down below, and we will see you in the next documentary.